Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And tonight we are over in Oasis, and it's actually pretty fun over here. The only problem I see so far is that it's been raining for the last like 3 hours, which is pretty rare. I don't remember it raining that much over here. The name's sake goes, it's an oasis, so yeah, you don't normally get a lot of rain in places like that. But as you can see, it kind of does limit the visibility that you have, so poolers will have to go a little bit further than they normally do to find creatures, and yeah, it's just that much more trouble. Let's go ahead and turn my taunt off. I actually did die just a few minutes ago. This is my own fault. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I targeted myself by accident and dotted myself with my own spells. My group actually felt really bad that it happened. I don't think they realized why I died, because it was a really bad fight to boot. And yeah, so you do gotta pay attention to your character. You don't want to do stupid things like that. I would have felt really bad if somebody else had died, but it wasn't. Everybody else was fine. It was just me. So I did it to myself. I only hurt myself. Slowed the group down a little bit, but to be honest, probably not that much, because I am pretty low level. I'm only level 11. I don't really do a lot of damage here. Most of the creatures here are red to me, which means my spells don't land very often, and I usually just end up ticking them off because I tried to cast on them and it didn't succeed. And you got to remember that if your spells are resisted, they still get the full amount of aggro. So if you know that you can only cast that spell, and then you have to wait 2 or 3 seconds to cast the next one, and then wait another 2 or 3 seconds and cast the next one, if you cast them all right at the same, basically one right after the other, and you know you're going to get aggro from that, if you do that and they resist every single one of them, you're still going to get the aggro. So you got to space it out, even if you're getting resisted. Almost especially if you're getting resisted, because if you are going to get the aggro and you're getting resisted, it's a high level creature, which means you're taking quite a bit of damage from those hits because it is such a high level. So yeah, just be patient, and on the fights that you can't really help out, med back up, and the fights that you can, try to do twice as much damage on those than you would normally, and it kind of evens it out if you just do it that route. But you can play your character any way you want. For me, I kind of been slacking off a little bit here and there because, as I said before, I got to think of things to talk about, and usually when I think of something to talk about, it has a story to go with it that I got involved the first time I played the game, and that really takes me off topic on what I'm doing in the game. I almost completely forget that I even have a character here, and that I need to do something. A lot of the time, I don't even tell my pet to attack, unfortunately, and yeah, that's pretty unacceptable. Which is kind of one of the reasons I like the cleric so much, is all I have to do, and that is kind of almost what I'm doing right now, playing my Necro, is all I ever do really is watch the health, because I'm so accustomed to doing that. That's pretty much my whole job. The only time I ever have to do anything else other than that are in very, very specific instances where something's going on and I have to do something very specific, and then I go back to doing pretty much nothing, which is just healing. On this guy, you have to be very aware of what's going on. The more you are on the spot with your first DPS, your first dot, the more dots you're more likely to get in during the fight. The more dots you get in, the faster that creature dies, and the faster that creature dies, the more creatures you will ultimately be able to kill. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get some water right there. My voice was breaking up after about I think I filmed about 3 hours today, which is quite a bit for EverQuest, for me anyways. Normally I play a lot longer than that, but I don't always record every minute of it. Like I said before on some of my other videos, I have a few characters I play that I don't actually record, that I just go on there and I just sit there and get my fix for EverQuest, because there are times that I do really want to play the game. I just don't always want to try to narrate it, because on days that you're feeling sick or days that you're feeling under the weather, it's kind of nice and relaxing to get on the game, get into a group, and just kind of veg out, and not really say a lot, not really do a lot, but just kind of have a little bit of fun, because you're sick. There's not a whole lot of things you can do to have fun when you're sick, and this is one of them. And situations like that, that's when I play those other characters. But for the most part, I play these guys, and I play them on camera for you to watch. And it's really fun over here in the zone. I'm really digging it. The only downside that kind of makes me not want to be here for too much longer is the amount of experience you gain. I've been here for probably, like I said, about 3 hours, and in 3 hours, I've earned probably about 3 bubbles, to be honest. Yeah, I got here with a little bit less than 2 bubbles to go before I leveled, and now I'm with 1 bubble into the new level. So, yeah, not a whole lot of experience. If this was Unrest or even Crushbone, you probably would have gotten a couple levels in that amount of time. So it's crazy how much that bonus multiplier really comes into play in dungeons, which really shows why people go to those places out of their way. I've seen Iskars over in Crushbone. I've seen Dark Elves over in Crushbone. They have to travel a very, very long way. I've seen Barbarians over in Crushbone. And, of course, you can get a teleport, which is probably the fastest way and the best way to do that if you're traveling from that far over, but not everybody does. You know, some people will just make the run, and it will take them 4 or 5 hours to get there, you know, waiting for the boat and things of that sort. But they can do it, and they can get there, go into that zone, start over there, and really go through a lot of levels really quickly. And this is not going to be one of those areas. This is, to me, being in a group in this zone feels like soloing the slow experience that I get from doing that. And I think I actually make more experience on my own over in North Road than I do in this zone. And as I said before, that could be a combination of a lot of factors. One, I'm in the group with a level 15, so he's sucking up a lot of the experience because he's the highest level, and the highest level person in your group always takes more experience than anybody else. And, you know, of course, I've mentioned this, you know, the concept is he's higher level, so he'll do more to help out the group, and therefore he should get more experience. There's no way to change that. I'm the lowest level person in the group, and so therefore the reverse is true. You know, I'm doing the least. And in that assumption, they're actually right. I am actually doing almost nothing here. It's actually pretty sad, and I feel kind of bad because I'm not really contributing that much. My pet can barely hit these creatures. My spells almost never get through, and when they do so little damage compared to, you know, the other players of this level, what they could do. I mean, I'm glad that I'm in a group, and I'm glad that I'm over here checking out the zone. But I think what I want to do is, after these few videos are over, I'm probably going to go back to Unrest. Yeah, Unrest will probably be pretty good, or maybe be Fallen. Would be kind of cool to check out and do a little bit more there as well. But I don't think I'm going to spend too much time here for now. I want to get a few more levels. I want to come back here when I'm level 13 or level 14 and really try this zone out for a while and go to the different areas. There's different camps here that you can go to. I'm just happen to be right here on the beach. I don't know if there's a name for this camp. I've never heard of one if there is, because you can pretty much camp anywhere here on the beach. And I've seen them camp over on the docks. I've seen them camp over here to the left of the docks, which is where I'm at. And I've seen them in different areas. In fact, there's actually 3 separate groups along the shore within running distance right here, within about 100 yards of each other. And there's more than enough to kill, so that's not an issue. It's just there's so many people on today, and it's just a good zone. It's really kind of cool. I mean, you're outside so that you can use your sow. You can fight different creatures that you are not normally, you know, killing. But like these spiders and stuff. These are really cool looking spiders. These are freaking huge ones. But if I can get a good view of that right there, that is a giant tarantula. And you can see the effects on it. It even has like fur on the back and has a nice little design. There's different designs for these different you know, creatures. There's some more tarantulas in other zones that are all black, and they have kind of a cool looking design on the back of them. Oh great, I got aggro. I gotta watch out for that. If I attack too soon, I steal the aggro. My guy can't take the hits. He's really pathetic when it comes to taking damage. And again, he resisted everything I had. Let me go ahead and see if I can steal some life. There we go. That actually went off. It was hit by 5. Yeah, life tap did 5 damage. That's pretty horrible. But it does seem like it's actually taking, whereas most of my other stuff was just getting resisted. Oh, that one hit. Wow, Wow, I can't believe I can hit a deep water Cayman. Oh, Cayman, that's right. He's still red. No, he isn't. That's somebody else. No, it's still red. The Caymans are the lowest level ones, and then you go to deep water Cayman, which are higher. And then I've mentioned this before, crocodiles are next, and then deep water crocodiles are the fourth tier that you will see over here. We tend to get a lot of deep water crocodiles. I don't know if they spawn more than the other ones, or if our poolers are just looking for those in general, and they leave the other ones alone. But we're getting more deep water crocodiles than any of the other ones, and Caymans are pretty much the fewest. So I think maybe they're doing that on their own, because we'll see one right here if he lets it go by. Yeah, did he? Or is he grabbing? Yeah, okay, somebody else was grabbing one, that's why they let it go by. They didn't want to get more than one again, because they had done that before, and I think they blamed themselves for my death, which they really shouldn't, because it was my fault. I was being really stupid and not paying attention to what I was doing. And, oh crap, somebody's about to die. Let's see if I can heal them in time. Use the heal. There we go. A little bit. No, it really didn't do a whole lot for him. It's just my crappy Necro heal, which allows me to give a little bit of life. This actually becomes a really, really good spell at some point. I hear people rave and rant about how good this spell is and how Necros can be a healer unto themselves. I haven't really seen it too well because, one, I don't have a lot of hit points, so when I use this, my life goes down really far, and when I heal somebody, it really doesn't heal for very much, so I'm not quite sure how that's supposed to work out. Oh, he resisted my life tap. Death is for winners. These people in this group that I'm in today, if any of you guys are ever watching, you guys are freaking nuts. The conversations that's been going on today has been all over the place and very, very interesting. This is one of the reasons I enjoy groups so much. I haven't got to participate too much in the conversation because I've been doing these videos, but it's nice to see people sitting there and getting to know each other. When we first got here, the conversation wasn't going on too much, but I've noticed, and in the higher level groups this is definitely the case, the longer you are with a certain number of people, the more friendly you get, the more willing you are to talk to people and actually start discussing things. And I think that's when the group really starts to come alive, because you may start off talking about something stupid like sports. Like I think today in the news they were talking about how the Rockets just won their 7th game or something like that. I'm not big into basketball, and I couldn't really care about the Rockets, but they're talking about it, and a lot of people were big into it, and I'm sure somebody's going to mention it sometime. And you start talking about that with somebody, somebody's more likely to say, hey, why don't we go over and try out this little area in the zone that we've never got to go to. Groups very rarely ever want to go to that area, but you know, since we're good friends or we're at least getting along, let's go try it out and see what we can do. People are more likely to actually say yes when they know you, and they know you're not going to just, you know, disappear on them, because you have to worry about that in this game. It doesn't happen too often, but when it does happen, it really sucks. Is you wait around, you put a group together, you get everything going, and then as you start moving, somebody goes link dead, or something happens and it doesn't look like it's going to go very well, and somebody decides they're going to leave, and then a couple other people leave. Really, really sucks to go out of your way, sometimes even traveling to a different zone to try a group in that zone, just to have the group fall apart. And when it does, pretty much what you have to do is travel back to the original zone. I remember over here in the Oasis, when you get to a certain point, having people say, you know, why don't we go try out Guck, Upper Guck, because it's a pretty good experience there too, around this level as well. So people would go over there, and I've actually done groups where I would leave this zone, we'd all travel together for safety, and for people who didn't know how to get there. We'd all travel together, we'd get to the zone, something bad would happen, and the group would just fall apart, and it sucks. You just spent all that time, you left a group basically in the spot that you were at. If you guys didn't leave, you'd still be there with that group, chances are, and you'd still be making experience. And so you risk all of that pretty much for nothing, because it doesn't pan out. And so a lot of the time, after a few burns of that, people are kind of wary of doing it again, especially for zones that are really, really far away. And so they will only do that when they find people that they somewhat believe are going to stay the whole time and aren't just going to leave because you know, they get frustrated or they rage quit or something like that, you know. And the only way to do that is, you know, through talking to them or being in the group long enough with them that they feel they can somewhat trust you, that you're not this, you know, willy-nilly kind of person who will just leave at the drop of a hat, or after your group has gone through some bad times and you're still there, then they know what kind of person you are. And you kind of want to get very used to having really horrible situations and pushing yourself through it. I know it's very easy to see something bad going on. You're just like, you know, I can see it getting worse from here, because you've been through those situations where one bad thing happens and it goes to another, to another, and to another, and before long you just wasted 4 hours. And if you had literally just called it quits earlier, you could have saved yourself all that hassle. That works in other games. In this game, it doesn't really work because so many things go wrong all the time that if you're not willing to push through it, you're never going to get anything done. You're never going to get into any dungeons. You're never going to get any good loot. You have to be able to push through those horrible times, and you have to be able to be willing to stay with your group even if it isn't doing very well, because eventually you guys will find your stride. There's really no group makeup that wouldn't work if the people are willing to cooperate and play their class a little differently than maybe they're accustomed to doing, just to make sure that they can kill the creatures they're trying to kill. So if you have a group, if you have 6 people, even if you don't really have a healer and you're using like a paladin to heal you and stuff like that, you can still do pretty much the whatever room you're trying to do to a certain point. Don't get me wrong, there are going to be some areas that are either incredibly hard for you to do or probably out of your range, depending on the level of the people in your group. If you got a high level tank, well then he doesn't need to be healed as much. If you have a, you know, really good DPS, the creature doesn't stay alive for very long, then you don't have to heal as much either. So as long as you have the other classes to balance it out, and the other classes know that they have to step up their game because of it, then you could make any group work. And it just really comes to be the players behind the characters you're playing, is the people sitting at the computer. Do they have what it takes to stay with it when things go bad? And hopefully the answer is yes, because you'll be greatly rewarded. I don't know how many times I stuck with groups that I didn't really think were gonna really make it off and actually, you know, make me any experience or get any loot. And sometimes those are the best groups. Once you go through some rough times, a lot of the time when you finally hit your stride, people are more likely to stay for a long period of time. And I mean long period of time. So you may have like 2 hours there where it's rough and there's a lot of corpse retrievals. But if you can get through that, you may have 8 hours of pure experience, gameplay with really good loot. That's amazing. That's hard to get. So you kind of have to earn it sometimes. And other times it just comes to you easy. And that's why, you know, some people are just looking for the easy time. They just want a group that really meshes well right off the bat. No deaths, no corpse retrievals. For me, it's kind of the exact opposite. I love to know a group can handle a CR, which is corpse retrieval. I love to know that they're willing to stay with a group, because I've been in plenty of them, and I know it's just going to happen, guys. It literally, there's nothing you can do about it. Something bad will happen. Somebody will die. And if your group, if you learn early on they can handle a CR, you can say, let's go to this zone, or let's go to this room. It's a little harder than most, and most people don't go there because the CR is a nightmare when everybody dies. But you guys are pretty good at that. You don't mind spending a little bit extra time, and the reward is so much better. I don't know what he's doing on this one. Okay, so he's pulling that one. I guess they were making sure that they weren't going to pull more than one. Let's go ahead and fix my camera. Again, guys, if you don't like this camera angle, let me know. I'm just trying new ones out in this area. There's really not a whole lot to see behind me. In fact, I'll turn the camera angle to show you guys, because I don't think I've done that yet. I think I've given you a 360-degree view around my guy. You can see right down there is the docks. There's a little hut right there. I don't think there's anybody in that hut. And those docks actually have a boat that show up every so often. Let me move my guy. You can sit over there on the pillar, and there's crocs inside the water as well. So you got to be sorry guys. You got to be aware of that. Oh, great. I got aggro. There we go. I'm making this healer work for it. Normally you don't ever heal the Necro, and that's exactly what he was doing when I first got in, but since I died, he's actually healing me up, so yeah, I feel kind of bad. He's treating me like less than a Necro, which I can't really blame him for doing it because I kind of haven't showed him any reason not to, but yeah, it still kind of sucks. So let's go back over here. I like to be sitting on this side. And you can see the different outfits that the characters are wearing. Pretty cool looking, actually. I kind of like the ogres and the trolls to play as maybe a warrior class. I don't know. You kind of don't want a huge character to be your warrior, because again, the bigger you are, that means the more aggro radius you have. Because when you go around a corner, when you enter their aggro radius, it doesn't have to be your entire body. It could just be your arm. And if you look at like a Necro, my Necro, Dark Elf, they're pretty small. Versus the ogre or the troll, they're huge, which means they'd be more likely to actually accidentally get within that aggro radius than you know, this little small dwarf down here. He'll have an easier time fitting around corners than anybody else. And so you got to take that into account. But there's plenty of like illusions you can get to change your character if you run into a situation where you know, you need that extra little space to get around. And then again, on raids, the reason I like big characters on raids is they're easier to spot. You can see them right off the bat. And it's very important, I think, to have people that are very noticeable, especially as your main tank for the raid, because you have different levels and different understanding of the raids at any given time. People who are just brand new to the game, who have never been to that raid in that zone, and they're still learning it. If you have this big ogre, did you know that that's the guy you're supposed to follow around, or that's the guy you're supposed to assist? You can see that from anywhere in the raid, even with 24 people in there, because you're going to have 4 groups of 6 people for your raid. That's really hard to tell anybody from one another, especially when you guys are all piled on top of one another, unless they stand out. And so a lot of tanks will either be big, or they're going to put some weird armor on that makes them stand out. You know, it's going to be like pink or something weird like that. Or maybe they're going to wear, you know, a hat that stands out that's very, very, very plain to see. You know, it's going to be like this giant wool hat with, you know, a head of a bear or something like that. You can see from real far away, but you kind of want that. In my opinion, I think you want that. And I know in Everquest 2, they actually added where you can set a marker that follows around different people. You can set it for your main tank, you can set it for your main assist or your pooler, and therefore people will see like this big you know, question mark or exclamation mark above their head when they run around. That's pretty much the same thing. It's just marking them so that you can see it at first glance in all the names that are going to be there. Okay, my clean darkness did not work. Let's go ahead and put on Disease Cloud. That should kill him off right there. Is he still running? Nope, my pet's going to do it. In fact, let's help my pet out a little bit. I don't want him to die. So we'll toss another little dot on there, and then with that dot, yeah, there we go. It's dead now. So he got, what, 2 of them? I came in, which he's attacking. No, he's not really attacking. He's attacking the crocodile. And I gotta watch that because we do have an enchanter. Normally, if you have an enchanter, you're just gonna use the assist button, and you're gonna have a main attack, or main tank, and a main assist that you're gonna use to actually assist. And the reason you have 2 different ones is because the main tank, he has to worry about... I will not let you... he has to worry about crowd control if there's not an enchanter there. He has to make sure that if one of the creatures splits off of the main group, meaning him, that he can run over there and pull it off of the healer, or he can pull it off of the enchanter, or whatever the case is. He can pull it off of them and bring it back to himself. So his target will be changing quite a bit sometimes on fights. And so he's not necessarily the guy you should be assisting. So what they normally will have is like the rogue being the main assist, because he's going to be on the main target and he's not going to switch targets. And that's the way you want your main assist to be. In fact, I just lost my pet, so that sucks. You had to use more bone chips, and I wasn't hoping to do that. Let's go ahead and cast our pet. Yeah, we do have enough power, but that's going to eat through what little power we have, and then we're going to have to med. So let's put that down. But I do like the Necro. He's very different from the classes I'm used to playing. He's very, you know, self-reliant, very independent on what he can do and the skills he has to rely on. Whereas, like with my cleric, he's very reliant on groups. He can solo if it's a zone with skeletons in it or the undead, but if it's not, it's going to be very, very hard to kill the creature, and it's going to take a lot longer to recover from those fights than it would be in a group. I mean, I can sit there in a group as a healer and use 2 or 3 heals every, you know, 5 minutes. That's not a whole lot. My power is at 100% most of the time. All I got to do is toss a heal every so often, and I level up really quickly. Whereas if I solo, you know, I'm doing all the work myself. That's kind of draining. That you got to sit there and you got to root it, and you got to throw all these new nukes on it, and then if the root breaks, you got to go ahead and, you know, put it back on there and reposition and hope you don't get any ads. And it's definitely a different way of playing, and it definitely makes you have to quite literally pay attention and really stretch yourself on what you're normally used to doing, which is real fun for some people. But for me, not so much. I mean, I don't really enjoy soloing as much as some people do. I do occasionally, you know, just want to... Oh, crap, I got aggro again. Oh, man, I gotta watch my aggro. I suck at this. Use too many dots too quickly, and then they can't pull it off of me. There we go. Got it off of me. So now I can use my heal, which is life tap. Yep. And I didn't get aggro again, which is good. Now, unfortunately, because he healed me so many times, he got aggro. And I guess it's not too bad because he doesn't really have to worry about this guy. I think he just said he was green to him because he's so low level. In fact, what level is he? He's blue. So yeah, at level 15, he would probably be green. Maybe light blue if they still had that in the game, but I think they took that out. So you can still get experience for some greens, but not very many. Okay, so I got experience from that one because he's dark blue to me. In fact, what is my experience at right now? Let me check. About a bubble and a half. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. It not anywhere near as fast as the Unrest and Mistmore are, which actually, now that I think about it, tend to spoil you. I was coming from those zones and I was fighting over here for the last few episodes, and I remember thinking, and I think I probably even said it, was that the experience over here kind of sucks compared to those other zones. But now that I've been here for a while and I've been killing, and it's getting to be more of a you know, normal thing for me to get this little experience per kill. I actually... Oh, this guy's about to die. Hold on a second. Whoa. Here we go. Can we do it? There we go. A little bit on the guy. Not too much. Better than nothing. Let me see if I can heal myself from the deep water caiman. No, he resisted. You little punk, man. I know you're red, but still. Come on, let me get one in there. And I am out of power. That sucks. Okay, so we're going to have to sit here and meditate. And hopefully our healer can keep up. He's been doing a really, really good job so far. It's all good. Just trying, letting you know. So who aggroed? Yuan is the one who aggroed. He's a tank, I think. He looks like a tank to me. He's wearing plate armor. Not very many people get to wear plate armor who aren't tanks. And yeah, I do know bards are not tanks and they get to wear plate armor. Same thing for clerics. They get to wear plate armor as well. But for the most part, if you look like that little dwarf and you're using a big weapon like that, I would not assume he would be a cleric. I guess he could be, but that'd be the strangest thing to be doing and not healing. Because I think this other guy, I think Panthurst, is a shaman. Because he was casting, you know, Sow on people earlier, so... I guess he could be a druid too. I didn't think of that. Who knows? I could do a who all. In fact, let me do a who all for the zone, and you guys can sift through the names and see if you see him on there. I don't see him. I see Yolad is a 14th warrior. There he is. Who's the other ones? Don't see him. Where are you? Oh, he's a 15 shaman. Okay, so he is a shaman. And I know a lot of people like the trolls for shamans, but I'm not sure why. I don't know what the benefit of using that race is. Trying to see where they went. I guess they just went a little further down the beach. They didn't like me. They didn't want to sit next to me. My guy started to smell. He is, you know, messing with the undead, so I'm sure he doesn't smell that great. But there's an entire ocean by me, and I just went for a swim earlier. And that reminds me, guys, you're over here. You're one of those classes that are sitting over here waiting for people to pull, and you got a little bit of time to kill, and you know don't have to worry about your power for whatever reason. Go swimming in the water. Just do, you know, circles in the water. Remember, you can't get attacked in here, obviously, because there's caimans, but if you're right here next to the group, swim around because you definitely want to work on your swimming skill. There's a lot of places at a higher level that you have to swim, and if your swimming skill is incredibly low, oh, that's, holy crap. Lockjaw, guys, lockjaw. There he is. That is how big that sucker is. I haven't seen lockjaw in a long, long time. Is she gonna kill him? No, they're gonna let us kill him, is it? Yes. They're gonna let us kill him. Wow. Okay. Can we get any spells on this guy? No, of course not. There's no way we're gonna get any spells on this guy. Let's go ahead and use our melee. The only time you will see a Necro meleeing Lockjaw. And actually still get experience for it, probably. Get your big fat butt out of my view, guy. Spin it around. There we go. No, you're in my way again. No, he's doing that on purpose. There we go. Really, really far view. Yeah, boy, we killed him. Lockjaw vest, halfling part, gnome, and high elf. So not too bad. That's actually pretty nice. It's a 12 AC, 5 stamina for your health. For warrior, clerics, paladin, rangers, shadow knights, druids, monks, bards, rogues, and shamans. Nice. I wonder how much experience we got for that. Let me look at that real quick. Ah, a fair amount. We got about a half a bubble now, so maybe another fourth just from that one kill. And the high elf parts, the gnome meat, and the halfling parts is just a sick joke, basically saying that's how many people he's eaten. And those are the leftover parts of all the characters he's killed. I don't need it. I can't use it, so I don't want to take it. I let them roll on it and go for it. Let me tell them I'll pass. Somebody here, I'm sure, needs it. They're just drooling over it right now, hoping that nobody will go after it. Two wisdom, 2 stamina. That's not bad, actually. 50 to 100 platinum. You guys go for it. I mean, I need the platinum, definitely, but I don't want to seem greedy, considering basically I'm doing nothing in this group, and I'm just sucking up experience, so I think that's enough. But I will ninja you all day. Yeah, so he doesn't want the vest, but he wants to loot everything else, basically. And it's actually a compulsion for some people. You get so used to looting that you don't even realize you're doing it anymore. And I used to do that all the time as my Shadow Knight because people would get so upset if you didn't clear up the bodies. And I was kind of one of them because when you try to target creatures with your mouse and there's tons of corpses all over the place, even if you're just doing it right in front of you and there's a corpse underneath you, a lot of the times you will somehow target the corpse on the floor you're not even facing just because he happens to be there underneath your target. And it just sucks to have to try to find the right spot. It just wastes a lot of time that you're getting hit that you're not hitting him. Now you can always use tab, and I think there's like F8 or something like that will allow you to scroll through the different creatures near you or something like that, but yeah, it's just better if you clear up the stuff. So I remember there's plenty of times where as soon as something dropped, or as soon as a creature died, I would just loot it, run out of the room, go get another one, kill it, loot it, go run out of the room, get another one. And I wouldn't even realize for the last hour I had looted every single monster. And then basically I would split the coin I got at the end of the group with everybody in it. But you know, it's just a compulsion. And sometimes people would have to say, hey, could you leave a couple corpses for whoever wants to loot? And I'd be like, that's fine. I don't really want the loot anyways. I just wanted to get rid of the stupid corpse. So if somebody else is willing to do that, that's fine. But some people will take it upon themselves to be that guy, the dumpster almost, that just loots everything and then either destroys it or throws it on the floor or something. But it has to be done. Otherwise, you just have too many corpses. Like over here, we have a ton of corpses. Now think of a small dungeon room, like the one I'm in over with my cleric in Unrest in the main room. Think of that kind of small space, and that's actually a pretty big space for a dungeon, to be honest. It's about almost 3 times bigger than most rooms you will be in at higher levels. But think of that room with all of these freaking caiman, crocodile corpses that you see here, and then times probably 2 or 3 more because we are looting them and get rid of a whole bunch. Somebody's doing that for us. So yeah, it would just be a nightmare with all these corpses, and it's almost a nightmare in that room as it is because of all the real life corpses of players that just leave their bodies in there. And I can't really speak negative on that one because I did leave one of my cleric's corpse in there. I was hoping to actually get a res, and I haven't actually logged on in the last, I don't know, like 4 days for my cleric. So he's been in there, and I'm sure his res timer has long since ended, but his corpse is still there, and I won't be able to pick it up until the next time I go in there, which will probably be here in a few days, because I know you guys probably want to see him get a little bit higher. But I took a break from him because I wanted to show you guys some new zones. I didn't want to have to do the same zones over and over and over again because I knew eventually you guys would get sick of that. As anybody does. It's part of the game to try to force you to go to other places. And again, that's one of the beauties about this game is it constantly always is forcing you to do something that you don't normally do. And that's usually a good idea. It's usually a good thing. They're forcing you to do things that you're going to enjoy in the long run. In the short term, you don't even know it. You don't even realize that's something you want to do. Let me back off my pet and tell him to go to this other one. This caiman right here. Go ahead and put on taunt. Hopefully my pet can taunt it off of him. Oh, Reaper. So there's a Grim Reaper around here somewhere. So he has that on him. I can go ahead and dot the crap out of it then. Nope. Because I can't dot the crap out of it. I can just dot it a few times. But going overboard, yep, this is what happens. So I need to go ahead and heal myself up a little bit. And it's kind of a vicious circle because the more you attack it to heal yourself up, the more aggro you get, and the more you have to attack it to heal yourself up. And before long, you're just in this giant circle where literally the only thing you can do to make sure you survive is just to kill it as quickly as possible. And that usually requires using life tap as many times as possible. Because it's really your only direct damage spell you have. The other ones are dots, and they take a while to go into effect, to actually get their full benefit out of it. So yeah, I'm using a lot of power here, but I'm saving my shaman's power, hopefully. He doesn't have to use anymore. Nope, he still healed me. Oh, I can't believe he's healing a Necro. It just feels so wrong. I feel so sucky as a Necro. People were probably watching me like, oh my god, you're one of the worst Necros I've ever seen. And I'd have to agree, guys. I have to say that I never played a Necro the first time around. I did play a Shadow Knight, but the two classes are almost nothing alike. Granted, they get a lot of the same spells. That's pretty much where the similarities end. They don't react the same way. They don't fight the same way. Shadow Knights are such a faint, distant cousin of Necros, and the spells they get are so weird because with the Paladins, it seems like after a certain point, they simply just get the lower level spells the clerics have. The Shadow Knight actually picks and chooses a few of the spells the Necro gets, and then just doesn't get any of the other ones for some reason. It's weird because Necros get some really good ones at level 1. I guess that's why I don't ever give them to Shadow Knights. Otherwise, Shadow Knights would be a lot better than they are. But they didn't get any love when the game first came out. They were one of those characters or one of those classes that, you know, Sony wasn't really too fond of, and they overlooked it quite a bit. And unfortunately, it was the class I played. So they had all these penalties against them, and they really didn't come into their own until a couple expansions had come out, and even then, it was just to fix the parts of the character that should have been right the first time. It wasn't like they were fixing it so that they were really good classes. No, they didn't do any of that. They just took out all the negatives that they felt that they should. They left quite a few still in, but they took out a few of them and made it a little bit easier to play. Okay, that's not too bad. I guess I don't feel too bad about that, but it sucks it took them so long. It would have been nice to been able to level a little quicker and not die as often. But yeah, it's a different gameplay. It definitely teaches you to play in a certain way that is quite unique, to be honest, because you got to be so careful, and you're not really welcome in too many groups back then because your fatigue deaths sucked, and you didn't tank very well. And I almost never found groups with my Shadow Knight until around level 45 and 50, and so the majority of my game was just soloing. Oh, I got aggro. I'm an idiot. I got to stop doing this. There we go. Okay, guys, I'm definitely going to stop using my dot so much. I do apologize for that. I know some of you guys are watching and it's driving you nuts. And if I was paying attention to my gameplay a little bit more, probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, it's definitely, especially with these deep product crocodiles, they freaking hit like a Mack truck. Feel free to let me die. Some rangers are actually they actually feel that if you let a ranger die when you're in a group or in a raid, you will get better loot. I don't know if there's anything to that. I know it's funny as crap when it happens, especially since you know, the rangers are always picked on, but in a good way. I think people appreciate the fact that rangers have it hard and they're always giving them a hard time because it's like a badge of honor. They know they can handle it because your entire gameplay has been hard. But it's definitely kind of funny. The rangers seem to be sacrificed a great deal on raids, but then so are a lot of other characters. You know, whoever the puller is in the Plane of Fear is going to get death touched, and whoever is the puller in the Plane of Hate is probably going to die quite a few times before he gets the pulls just right. Even if you're very familiar with that zone, it is a very difficult zone to pull just right. And if you do anything wrong, you're going to die, and it's just what's going to happen. But again, it is a raid zone, so hopefully by the time you've gotten there, you don't really need any more experience. So the deaths really aren't that big of a deal to you. Yeah, you die, you get a res right away because again, you're in a raid. Holy crap, did he just pull one of these? No, I didn't want to loot that. I wanted to check to see what level he was. An Orc Warrior, red. So now, I am going to wait a few seconds, let them get some damage on it. And then I'm going to use one of my spells, which will ultimately get resisted. Holy crap, it didn't get resisted. It actually went into effect. Okay, so let them get a little bit more damage. And try another spell. Let's see, nope. That one got resisted. And this is a low-level spell, to be honest, so I was kind of expecting it to be. I could use my Clinging Darkness, but somebody always seems to snare it. Oh, there we go. That one worked as well. So now I can sit back down. Nice. I actually feel like I'm doing something. Now, the Clinging Darkness does two things. It does damage, and it snares. If somebody else, like a druid or a shaman, throw a snare on there, if he's a higher level than I am, it will override my spell. But all his spell ever does is snare. It doesn't do any damage. It just snares, as far as I'm aware of. I know that's how the druid one works. I'm not quite sure on the shaman one, to be honest, but the druid one, it just snares and there's nothing special to it. With mine, at least it's taking damage with it, so keep that in mind, guys. You kind of want your Necro or your Shadow Knight to do the snaring, if at all possible, because they get that extra little bit, but you also have to keep in mind that because the snare of the druid one isn't causing any damage, he can cast it on the creature, and then you can mez it, and it will stay mezzed, whereas mine will not stay mezzed. They will literally wake up when that damage goes off, and so it's going to be impossible to keep it mezzed. So it's kind of nice to have both. There's situations where you don't want a dot on the creature, so keep that in mind as well. And I know I mentioned using your snare to pull. There's going to be situations in a group where you don't want to do that because you want to pull that creature, but that creature is going to be the first one the enchanter mezzes, and the creature you really want is the one right behind him, or the one off to the side that he's going to pull along with him. So that's also a way to do it. But if you use a dot, that snare that you have that does damage on the pull, he's not going to be able to mezz that creature, and things may go badly. So yeah, just be open to change. Be open to trying new ways out, and don't get so stuck in your ways that when somebody tells you that this spot is somewhat unique and this is the way to do it, that you take offense to it, like you don't know what you're doing. You need to be constantly able to learn in this game, because you're never going to stop. There's always more to do, there's always more to see, and there's always more to learn. So my simple advice is just be open to it. So I think we're going to go ahead and end the episode here, guys. Again, if you do like these videos, please hit the like button and subscribe. Definitely leave comments down below. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Also, we are getting close to our 100 subscribers, so we'll be doing some kind of contest here pretty soon where I give away something, and hopefully you guys will like that. I know I did it for 50 subscribers, where I gave away some game codes for the closed beta for Heroes of the Storm, and I think we're probably going to do something very, very close to that, where I give away keys of some sort, and hopefully you guys will very much enjoy playing some of these new games that I am doing Let's Plays for. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.